albums from 2022 that you probably haven't heard of that you should check out. Unless you're really into obscure Japanese music. Then you might have heard of some of these. Let's start this off with Space Cowboy, a new EP released in October from Japanese hip-hop duo Neibiss. The two deliver tight, clean flows all over this EP, and the guest producers are noticeably really good. You got 2 tracks, No Sync and Beautiful Dream, both produced by tofubeats. These two actually collabed earlier this year on tofubeats' album, Reflection. However, these 2 songs are both better than the one from Reflection. There's also Park, which is produced by Pasocom Music Club, who didn't release an album this year, but they're really good, so you should check them out anyway. You never really get a lot of space to breathe on this EP, with both rappers constantly taking turns, leaving pretty much no time to chill. The songs are mostly in a pop rap vein, with distinct hooks that keep you coming back with the vocal layering and trade-offs between the rappers. The standout tracks here are Beautiful Dream and Park, both of which I've listened to like 50 times in a month. Next up is Penpals with CAARRS. Are you familiar with Berserk? You know the opening Tell Me Why? Yeah, that's this band. They're back. The opener Be the Dog perfectly encapsulates the rough vibes that made Tell Me Why such a hit, and shows that they haven't lost a step in the 25 years now since that song. Album's full of catchy hooks, fun melodies, and it's just a good time. The band still sounds remarkably fun for this stage in their career, and they genuinely sound like they're having a good time making their first album in 18 years. My biggest issue is a lot of the songwriting is kind of one note. A lot of the songs just sound the same and have repeating line choruses and don't really do too much extra. But it doesn't really bother me too much. Standout track is either the title one or Be the Dog, and definitely one to check out if you want some fun alt-rock. Next up is the Yoshinao Miyamoto band, YMB, with Tender. This is one of those albums that's pretty simple in concept and idea, but executes it pretty much as well as you can. It's a really chill and consistent indie pop album. Right from the opening title track, it does a good job of setting the vibe, and is able to carry it through all the way to the end of the album. The band isn't trying to break new ground or do anything revolutionary on this one, but it's definitely really good for what it is. My only real complaint is that it is kind of basic at times, but it introduces enough elements and manages to stay fresh through its short 25-minute runtime. Standout track is Tender, and this is one to check out if you just want to chill and relax with some good background music. I'd like to very briefly touch on Sing the Moon by Tsukuyomi here, which has been largely ignored outside of Japan and weeb circles. Do you like Yoasobi? If so, check this album out. Do you not like Yoasobi? Stay very far away from this. This is really, really blatant Yoasobi worship. They got the same structures, the same third chorus key changes, everything Yoasobi has. But the singer is better, I like the execution more, and they have just a slight bit of variety, which automatically makes them better than Yoasobi in my book. Next one is The Happy Star by Lexie Liu. First non-Japanese album on this list, because it's Chinese instead. She's got Chinese, English, and I think some Spanish too going on this album, and it's really cool. The first half is more energetic dance pop tracks, while the second half transitions into some more chilled out vibe songs. I prefer the first half, but I also just generally love high energy music more, so that's why. The best song is Magician, which I just keep coming back to because the chorus on that one is unbelievable. Back to Japanese music with Let's Go by Cycling and Marmalade, a very obscure artist that had 35 Spotify monthly listeners when I wrote this list. This is bringing back that neo-acoustic sound from the 80s and 90s, very reminiscent of something like Advantage Lucy or Picture 56, maybe even some early Pillows albums. It's nice and chilled out a lot of the time and is a really good album to put on if you just want something to vibe to. Best song is, the third one. Give In by Johnnivan is a really fun, danceable album. Great earworms, tightly written songs, and banger after banger that never fails to get you moving. I do want to shout out Angura's video on these guys. That's how I found them. Good channel. Best song is Chip Tooth. Another fun, danceable album is The Biting Tempo by Houg. Also another non-Japanese one, because this time it's Singapore. This is his debut album, and he delivers chillwave banger after banger. I found out about this one due to a wild feature from an artist I love, who sadly didn't release anything this year, that being Videotape Music. Instead of production help or vocals as you might typically expect from a feature, he contributes some sampled poetry. I think my closest point of reference for this is probably something like Skylar Spence meets George Clanton. So if you're into either of those artists, you'll probably want to check this one out as well. The best song is Excuse Me, What's the Time? One album I found right before the year ended is World Record by Tweedees, which is a Shibuya-kei album. Shibuya-kei has been seeing a rise in popularity recently, not really in Japan, but in weird nerd music circles in the West, which is really all that matters when you think about it. Hoping that somehow manages to translate to more actual Shibuya-kei records getting made, but if not, World Record is a great revival of the genre. Definitely one to check out if you're into Lamp or Flipper's Guitar or stuff like that. One I found like 2 days ago as of recording this is Marmalade Butcher's That. This is an instrumental J-rock album, but I think these dudes could be absolutely massive if they found themselves a singer. Weebs who like stuff like the Jujutsu Kaisen opening or the 86 OP would eat this up. If you're a fan of a band like Hitori, you might be interested in this for sure. It's got a definite math rock spin to it a lot of the time. It's a fun listen that doesn't stay too long and is well worth a run. Next up is 3 albums I want to highlight just for one specific song on them. First one is Tokyo State of Mind by Sano. A lot of the album is kinda alright, I guess, but the song Image is a banger. There's also Forms by Butasaku, which is a fairly standard ambient pop project, minus the song Silver Lining, which is awesome and adds some funky touches and was one of my top songs of 2022. There's also Space, Circumstances, Time, and Events by Kinoe 64. Which is a pretty solid Vocaloid shoegaze album all the way through, but Tomorrow the World Will End is just on a different level compared to the rest of it. Next up, I'm going to do a quick run-through of albums that aren't quite as obscure, but you still probably haven't heard of. Reflection by tofubeats is an excellently produced J-pop album. It's kinda inconsistent, but the best tracks here are absolutely phenomenal. Peak Time was my song of the year, and Vibration, City to City, and the title track Reflection are all great as well. tofubeats just continues to get better, and if he could be consistent and trim the fat on his albums a little more, I think he has one of the highest ceilings of anyone in music right now. vKiss by Dazegxd is an excellent house album. Emotion Engine showed up in my Discover Weekly, and that song is really, really good. It's a good mix of instrumental deep house cuts and some more pop-oriented songs if you're looking for those. Also includes a Jane Remover feature for fans of them. If you're a sucker for house and garage like me, you definitely will want to check this one out. Cocoon for the Golden Future by Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas is a Japanese trancecore album. It sounds like a head-on collision between rave electropop and metalcore. I'm not going to try to do any more selling, because just from that, you'll know if you like this or not. I Know There's Something Left for You and Rare Hearts Part 1 by Dynastic are both great emo pop albums. They're a combination of that, pop punk, and hyper pop, and it sounds fresh and really good. If you're into that kind of emo pop stuff, Dynastic is definitely someone you're going to want to keep a watch on coming up. Last one of these is JER with Bothered/Unbothered. Known as Ska2 Network here on YouTube, JER came out with their debut this year, and it proves one thing for sure: ska is fucking back. Finally! The opening and closing tracks are both stellar, and there's a lot of fun stuff in the middle too. Even a rap verse that works way better than I thought it would. This album is so much fun. I'm so happy ska is a thing again now. Finally, last album I'm going to mention is my album of the year for 2022. It's Green by the Japanese shoegaze idol group Ray. This is an album that feels like it was made specifically for me. There's a song on it written by my dead girlfriend, who I love. The album is executive produced by 4 Tracy Hyde's Azusa Suga, who won't be 4 Tracy Hyde's anymore because they broke up the day before I recorded this video. And there's contributions from Yusuke Hata of Cruyff in the Bedroom and Kei Tariki of fucking Azuno Joke. There's another album I could have put in this list, Island by Azuno Joke. Great album. They're a black gaze band, and the song he composed on this is synth pop, so I don't really know what's going on there either. This is a long album, clocking in at 72 minutes, and yet it does a lot in the runtime. Doesn't feel overly long or dragged out ever. There's even some cinematic touches, like the folksy acoustic cruiser message that just put a smile on my face the first time I heard it. There's also some fun storytelling-ish stuff, I think, happening on track 7. I don't know. I don't speak Japanese. I couldn't tell you. Highlights include the penultimate song, Rusty Message. The instrumental parts of that song are honestly maybe my favorite moments on the entire album. The little melody it's going there is so crazy. Gravity is also awesome, and Regignation, the My Dead Girlfriend song, has their signature hook. Also, I think they might have misspelled resignation there, but I'm not sure. This was in a close album of the year race with There Will Be No Super Slave by Guy Scavara. Another album that could have been put here, but I think he's blown up too much in the last year or so. But yeah, I think Green won. Green's awesome. I love this album. It's great. Anything I mentioned here is worth your time for at least a couple songs. Check it out if it interests you. Also, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe so I can get an education. Bye.